Hey, what's going on, guys? I am back for my final divisional round preview video. We got the Buffalo Bills traveling to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. We do get this game a little early, which I am a fan of, so I can get some rest before the work week begins. So this game starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, so that'll be wrapped up in time for us people out here on the East Coast. Keep this moving. These two teams did face earlier this season, but this was way back at the beginning of October. It was at that Sunday night game, I believe. I don't think it was a Monday night. I think it was Sunday night game where the Bills trounced the Chiefs 38-20. That game was in KC and it happened back on October 10th. Then, if everybody remembers, everybody was really high on Buffalo going after that, and then they hit their little dull period, and now they're back to being one of the hottest teams in the league. And then we got the Chiefs too, who have been playing, good football in the last couple weeks of the year, couple months of the year, but they did show some down moments here and there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the injury report, which is short for both sides. First of all, the Bills, no injury designation, so they are as healthy as they can be entering this matchup. Obviously, as I always reiterate, without their best cornerback who is on IR as his season is over. And then with the Chiefs, they have two people that are questionable. Darrell Williams with his toe injury, who did play last week, so I'm assuming he's going to be good to go. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has no injury designation, so he will be back in the lineup. But you saw what Jerick McKinnon did last week, so it's going to be curious. I'm very curious how they share the workload between those three backs. And then Rashad Benton is questionable with his back injury. He is one of their cornerbacks for KC, and obviously they need every single cornerback that they can have out on the field to help slow down the very hot Buffalo Bills offense. So speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Bills offense. They are coming off one of the, I'm pretty sure it's the best offensive performance ever in playoff history. Josh Allen has been playing lights out football over the last I'm having a conversation with my buddy earlier about him. Ever since that second half of the game against the Buccaneers, yeah, they lost the game, but Josh really put the team on his back and almost clawed them back into the game and almost upset the Bucs on the road. And ever since that, Buffalo has been hot. Josh has been lighting up teams, and he did that to a Bill Belichick-led defense in the playoffs. So I got some high expectations. He's going to have a great game on Sunday evening. Now, take a look at the numbers, though, from the season. They averaged 381.9 yards a game. That's fifth in the NFL. On the ground game, they're effective with Josh and Devin Singletary. They average 129.9 yards a game. That's sixth. Passing yards a game, 252, that's ninth, and they average 28.4, which is third. So they average 4 touchdowns a game. They're a top 5 offense in terms of yard production, and they can produce yards on the ground and through the air. So they have a variety of ways that they can attack you, and they can go after this Kansas City defense. Now, speaking of the Kansas City defense, they're a bottom half of the league defense. If we're being honest, when you look at the numbers, they give up 368.9 yards a game. That's 27th in the NFL, bottom 5. Rushing yards allowed a game, 117.6. That's 21st. And then passing yards a game, they give up 251.4. That's 27th. Now, one thing they do well is they do kind of hold teams from scoring points, though. When they get down to the red zone, they only do give up the 21.4 points a game, which is 8th in the NFL. So they give up around 3 touchdowns. But, I know it was early. It was back there in October, but the Bills put up those 38 points in Arrowhead, by the way, earlier this season. So this offense is going to have a lot of confidence entering that matchup. And it's going to be curious how the Kansas City offense performs, because if you guys remember, the Steelers, defense was nothing to run home about, and they kept that Kansas City offense in check for like the first, quarter or two. Now, you can afford to do that when it was going against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but if that happens again, and then this offense can come out humming like they just keep on rolling off what they did last Saturday night, this game could get really ugly fast. Even though I'm not supposed to be talking about the Kansas City offense, I'm just saying the effect of how this Bills offense is and how it can be. Now, for the Bills' plan of attack, I think you just go after everything that their weak points at and attack them on the edges in the rushing game. So the Chiefs, they moved Chris Jones back. Now, I think Chris Jones was still lining up on the edge. when these two teams played earlier. So they have moved him back inside. So Jerron Reed and Chris Jones are a big body presence. They can blow up the middle of pockets, right? So this game will be a little bit harder for them to do their inside runs and everything. But I do think you can attack the edges with with Devin Singletary, little quick pitches. And I do think with obviously the read option and when they just, Josh just takes a snap and run those sweeps out to the quarterback sweeps to the outside, that I think that can be some very effective moves for them so they can pick up those first downs. And then, with the Kansas City quarterbacks, L'Jarius Sneed is, he's their best cornerback, but I don't think he's really going to a guy that Stephon Diggs is going to fear. So I think Stephon Diggs is going to have himself a night. I think he's going to go over 100 yards and score, drop a touchdown on them. And what I'm thinking what's going to happen too is just all the other role players are just going to help them pick up first downs throughout the game. I think Cole Beasley is going to be able to work himself in the slot and get open quite often against this defense. And then I think a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, you'll see him get a big catch in this game. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball with ease against this team. I think they can get the 3+ touchdowns. I actually think they can get the 4 touchdowns in this game. But this definitely does, like, barring weather being very, I do apologize. I did not look at the weather report for KC. I'm assuming it's going to be a cold night, but if it's kind of like a snowy bad night, maybe that limits the amount of fireworks in this matchup. But this is another matchup, like I said about the earlier one on Sunday, that I think you're going to see them put up a lot of points. Now, what could KC do? I just gave a lot of praise to the Buffalo Bills offense, which I think it's definitely well deserved. The numbers back it up. They just came off a really prolific game. And, the Chiefs defense, yeah, they've played well here and there, but they were playing against kind of the lighter offenses of the NFL in the back half of the year. So they are going to have a challenge in front of them. Now, what could happen is, with Josh, he is one of those quarterbacks that can pick you apart in the pocket at this point of his career, but he's so deadly because if he does escape the pocket to his right, he does have a tendency of making big plays that way. And obviously he has the legs that he can take off and not only get a first down, he's really fast in open space, so he can get 20, 30-yard gains at times. So the best thing they could do is try to do their best with Frank Clark and their other edge guys to keep them inside the pocket, and then they just got to have Chris Jones and Jerron Reed blow up from the inside and really use their pass rush moves effectively and come collapse on Josh because, as good as Josh has been, there, if he sees that early pressure, sometimes his ball security kind of gets lackadaisical, and that's where his fumbles can come from. And then, Josh is not afraid. He trusts his arm, which rightfully so. He has the strongest arm in the NFL. But sometimes he will try to do anything he can do. If he's getting chugged, he'll try to throw a ball because he thinks he can squeeze it in. Sometimes that's where his interceptions can come from. So that's their recipe to success for the KC defense. If I'm them, is do their best to keep Josh in the pocket and get home to him as fast as possible with the pass rush. And then the guys in the secondary just got to take some risk and try to create some turnovers. But yeah, let's go ahead and switch sides for the KC offense, which they deserve all their respect too because they're a top they're a top 5 offense. I mean, I know the rushing yards show that they're kind of in the middle of the pack there, but when you look at the other numbers, they put up points, they put up yards as a whole. So when you look at the numbers, they average 396.8 yards a game. That's 3rd best in the NFL. Their rushing game, like they could improve, but they have always been a team that relies on Patrick Mahomes and that passing attack. This year they average 115 on the ground. That's 16th best in the NFL. Passing yards a game, 281.8. That's 4th, and they do put up 28.2 points a game. That's 4th in the NFL. So they, just like the Buffalo Bills offense, they're averaging 4 touchdowns a game. So I think both teams. Well, we'll see, because if you look at the Bill defense, you have to also give them credit too, because they are the best defense in the NFL in terms of numbers and in terms of how they've been playing. Especially, like I keep on saying, what Sean McDermott has done with Dane Jackson and Levi Wallace on the outside at the cornerback position without Tre'Davious White over the back half of the year is very impressive because he's got that defense humming. Right now, because you look at the numbers though from the season, they only gave up 272.8. That's 1st in the NFL. As far as rushing yards per game, they give up around 199.8. That's tied for 13th. So they can give up some yardage on the ground, like we have seen teams run on them in the past. But their passing defense is really good. Like I said, you think these numbers would kind of go back up without Tre'Davious White, but They held steady Eddie on that term, and they end up finishing first in the league at 163 point yards a game, and they only give up 17 points a game. That's first in the NFL. And that last matchup, I know, like I said, I know it's like back in October, but they did hold the Chiefs to 20 points, and that was one of the rougher performances from Patrick Mahomes and that offense. So with this game, though, I do think it's playoff football. This Kansas City team offense has been here before. So even though it's going to be a tough matchup going against that Bills defense, I do think they are going to be able to find some success. Now, it does seem like Tyreek Hill has been relatively quiet. I'm looking for a big game out of him, especially because I think the cornerbacks there don't have the speed to keep up with Tyreek Hill. I like what Dane Jackson does. I like what Levi Wallace can do. But those guys, there's no chance that they're going to keep up with him in a foot race. I mean, who can, to be quite honest. So they're going to have to figure out a way how they're going to contain them with, obviously Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are, like I've said before, they're the best safety tandem in the league. By the way, that interception by Micah Hyde was unbelievable what he did last week. Well, they're going to have to utilize those guys with bracket coverage on him, but then they also have to figure out their plan of how they're going to keep Travis Kelce in check as well, and they're going to have to try to take away those guys and do their best to make the other people beat you in that passing attack. Now, one thing that showed up last year, and when these teams faced in the AFC Championship game, when Kansas City won that game to go to the Super Bowl, was the Bills weren't really getting any type of pass rush, and that's what led to them in the past draft of getting Gregory Rousseau and Boogie Basham Jr. And this is what they drafted those guys for, is this game right here. Obviously, the KC offense has revamped that. So, what this is going to come down to for me with the Bills is that pass rush has to show up. Jerry Hughes, the veteran, Mario Addison as well, Ed Oliver through the middle, Harrison Phillips in the rotation as well. They got Star Lutiolele. He's more of the run stuff for first two down guys. So what they need to do is those guys have to deliver. They have to, Patrick's similar to Josh, right? Like what I just talked about. Don't let Patrick escape the pocket often. Now, he hasn't really hit those big plays as he has in the past, but he still can get you on any given moment. So keep doing a good job of keeping him in the pocket, and make sure you guys just collapse the pocket on him and get those sacks and try to get some early pressure where you can force him into maybe a bad throw, because he has had those more turnover-worthy throws this year than he has in the past. So try to get that to happen, and then jump on those turnovers and try to win the turnover battle, because I do think they're going to get him, though, for 3 to 4 touchdowns. I do think Andy Reid will come up with something, and I think this is going to be a barn burn of a shootout as well on Sunday evening. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and I think it's going to really come down to who has the ball last, to be quite honest, because I think either quarterback can put their team in a game-winning field goal situation. You know what? I've said that. I just said this on the last video. Sometimes the regular season will show you the highs and the lows of the teams, and we've seen it both. But another thing too is sometimes it's all about getting hot at the right time, and it seems like this Bills offense, especially with how Josh is playing, it feels like he's so laser focused. It feels like there's a very good team camaraderie going on, if I said that word right, by the way, going on up there in Buffalo. So I think the Bills are going to pull it off. I think Tyler Bass kicks a game-winning field goal, and they end up winning like a 30. I said that on the last one. Let's do a 31-28 win for Buffalo. So yeah, that is the last divisional round preview video for you guys today. As always, if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. If you have not subscribed to my video, please to my channel, please hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with all my latest content. So my next videos will be the conference championship preview videos. Now, both those games will be on Sunday. Obviously, I'm not sure what time the games will be, but how I've been doing it, I've been wanting to do these videos on the nights that I at least get the injury reports. So next time you'll see me is a week from now, next Friday, and I'll be doing the NFC Championship preview video as well as the AFC Championship preview video. So I'm gonna hop off here. I'm not sure when you guys are watching this, but I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I will see you guys then, and let's hope for some really great football on this divisional round. Peace out, guys.